Okay, so it sounds like you're now challenging the notion that women should be able to vote, right?
Do they really use it all that often, though?
Yeah, women vote.
But not as much as men do, right?
Okay, well, okay. So you're saying that men vote at higher rates compared to women. Older people vote at
Yeah.
higher rates than 25-year-olds. Should we take the right to vote away from all 25-year-olds?
No, not 25-year-olds.
Okay, so should we take the right to vote away from women, given that apparently men vote at higher rates compared to women?
Well, I don't think they're emotionally stable enough to make decisions on like voting in American politics.
Go ahead and take it away, new news boy. Why are you MAGA?
Yeah, I just mainly support Trump because of his foreign handling. So how he wants to handle ending the wars between Ukraine and Russia, and how he ended the Iran-Israel war, and now he's trying to handle the Palestine and Israel conflicts.
I don't understand why his foreign policy would be the first place that you go in attempting to justify that he's a good president, because his foreign policy has been a goddamn disaster, dude. I mean, so
Can
he
you prove
said...
that?
Yes, I can. Before the election, he said that he was going to end Russia's invasion of Ukraine literally on day one, and then he got fucking played by Putin. Okay, he recognized that stopping the funding to Ukraine, right, relinquished the international pressure on Russia and Putin to end their invasion of Ukraine and made Ukraine weaker, which is then what caused Russia to just drop even more bombs on Ukraine and be less cooperative in peace talks. And now we're over 9 months into his term and zero progress has been made, right? Then about Israel and Palestine, for instance. All right. Well, I mean, you know, he boasted and gloated, said he was the president of peace, saying he got a ceasefire. But I mean, what did we figure out literally 3 days ago? It's that Israel stopped all humanitarian aid being re-allowed into the Gaza Strip, and then started doing started dropping missiles on Palestine once again. So seemingly now Israel has violated that ceasefire, just like they violated the last six.
Not Donald Trump. Yeah, that's Israel, though. That's not Donald Trump.
Okay, but the fact of the matter is, Donald Trump claimed that he was the president of peace and that he ended the invasion, he ended the ethnic cleansing, peace in the Middle East once again, but that's obviously not something that we see. So no progress has been made once again because Israel continues to perpetually violate these peace and ceasefire agreements with no repercussions from America whatsoever.
So you disagree that the amount of lives being lost has drastically decreased since the ceasefire has been implemented?
Well, the ceasefire that was, I don't know, sound for maybe 12 to 24 hours.
Well, if you could just answer the question, though. Could you just answer the question, though? Do you not like agree that it's drastically decreased in terms of overall lives lost?
Well, yeah. So the loss of life drastically decreased for 12 hours, just like it did with the ceasefire under the Biden-Harris administration that they also violated. Yes.
And it's still decreased, even like to this day.
Okay. Well, once again, we saw a violation of the ceasefire agreement, just like we saw a violation of the ceasefire agreement set forth at the end of the Biden-Harris administration, which then led to a total ramp up of their ethnic cleansing of Palestine, which we'll likely now see again because it seems as if the trend has continued of, you know, there being an introduction of a peace agreement or a ceasefire with then Israel violating it.
So basically what I'm hearing is if a president, well, more specifically Donald Trump, right? Because, you know, libs love to like attack Donald Trump on everything. If a president manages to get a ceasefire and another country violates that ceasefire, that's the fault of the president. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, I mean, I think that there's going to be some culpability on behest of the American government and the president due to the fact, right, that when they violated the ceasefire agreements that even Trump has already set forth, such as the one with Iran, right, there was no response from Trump. He just continued to say that Israel's our best friend and Netanyahu's a war hero, right? I think that we should be more selective with our allyships, and we shouldn't be allies with a country that's ethnically cleansing a population of millions and perpetually violating the agreements that we set forth. I think that that is a drastic.
Wait, I could say that I don't.
And honestly, I think that it enables those behaviors to not like implement or state any repercussions for the action of the violation. So that's why I would say that starting off with Donald Trump's foreign policies and attitudes with other countries on the global stage is going to be a bad argument for you to make in support of his presidency. So do you have any reasons why you think
haven't
Donald
like
Trump is
substantiated? Wait. To clarify, you haven't like substantiated that at all, right? You gave one point, and I'm gonna like address that point real quick.
Have you already been up here?
Also, do what?
Have you already been up here?
No, I just got up here.
I know, but have I ever talked to you before?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I've never been up on a panel.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So where was I at? Oh yeah, but what I was saying was I can disagree morally with Israel's actions, right? And still say it's in the best benefit of the American people that the conflict stops. That way we can stop sending money to Israel.
Right. I actually agree with everything that you just said. Okay, what Israel's doing to Palestine is fucking terrible. It is in the benefit of the Palestinians and of the world for Israel to stop their ongoing ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians. And I think it's also in the best benefit of the world and Americans and Palestinians for us to stop sending money to Israel. And all that I'm saying here is that Donald Trump prolonged the conflict by violating the Logan Act and suggesting to Netanyahu to hold off on accepting a ceasefire until after the election, which he did. And that's what the DOJ suggested. And now, right, he claimed to end the war, quote unquote. That's what he said. But now we see not even 3 days later, just like the last billion times, Israel's once again violated the ceasefire agreement, and now we'll see conflict continue, right? So I wouldn't say that this is going to be a monument and paramount of success of the Trump administration for you to use to then turn around and say that he's a good president.
Well, I just gave one point. There's other points.
Okay. What are your other points?
Yeah, we'll come back within like our own economy, right? Him putting limitations on, burning the flag, stuff like that, right? Like, I'm a free speech advocate, but I agree with him trying to, put up to like a year punishment for like burning the flag in public.
Okay, so do you think that it should be legal to specifically burn the flag?
Not in public.
I'm just asking you. So you think it should be illegal to burn it in public? Do you think that it should be like illegal to have like a campfire in public?
If it's not in a controlled space.
Okay, so it's not actually that you support the banning of the burning of the American flag. It's that you support banning of like burning things in public. So
no,
like,
it's. I mean,
so like if I
flag.
were to want to like burn the flag in my backyard, you'd be completely fine with that, and you think that should be protected.
No, I mean, I wouldn't be fine with it. No, I don't think you should burn the American flag.
Should that be
especially if you live in America? If you're an American citizen, you shouldn't be burning the American flag.
Okay, so do you think that that should be protected activity though? Like, do you think legally speaking, I should be able to do that? No. All right. So it seems like now you're just telling us so you don't really support the Constitution, right? Because guess what SCOTUS ruled in the Texas v. Johnson court case in 1989? It's that burning the American flag is protected under the First Amendment as symbolic speech. So you just told me that you don't think I should have a right to my free speech, and that right should be taken away from me and banned, even though it's guaranteed to me and everybody else by the Constitution. That's
are
very
you a free
anti-American
speech absolutist? Wait, are you a free speech absolutist?
Well, I mean, I wish that you'd respond to my point of me calling you a hypocrite for just arguing that we should infringe on the Constitution and take free speech away from individuals after you called yourself a proponent of free speech.
But if you say that's a part of free speech, then I would like fundamentally disagree. That's why I'm asking if you're a free speech absolutist, because I'm not.
Well, the fact of the matter is, sir, you can't disagree with the fact that that is free speech per the American Constitution, because that's what SCOTUS has ruled.
Yeah, but it was changed.
No.
Yeah, it was.
When was it changed?
You literally just said it was changed in that. Before then, it wasn't like a protected activity.
Oh, yeah. So before SCOTUS ruled that it's protected by the First Amendment, right, it was unclear if it was protected by the First Amendment. You're right.
Yeah, that's what it should go back to. You shouldn't. Why would you be in America and want to burn an American flag?
But the way to get it to go back to that isn't by a president infringing on the Constitution, as you would suggest you'd like Trump to do, right? That's more anti-American.
I believe in the original Constitution, not the upgraded version.
What's the original Constitution?
Well, like you just said, before that was implemented, right? So just free speech. No, there's no like symbolic.
I have a question. So you're telling me that you believe in the original. So like at what time frame did the original Constitution exist?
Why are you pivoting right now? I'm just trying to like.
No, I'm asking you. I'm asking you to clarify in a statement that you made. Me asking you for clarification is not a pivot. You said you believe in the quote unquote original Constitution. What's the quote unquote original Constitution? Please inform me. Are you talking about the one with slavery? The one where slavery was legal? The one where women couldn't vote?
No, hold on a second, buddy. Hold on. I didn't say slavery.
No, the one where black Americans didn't have a birthright to citizenship? Which one?
Well, one, I don't even believe in like birthright citizenship. But I'm talking about like before.
Then you don't believe in the 14th Amendment. You're very anti-Constitution.
No, I'm not anti-constitution.
You are.
I
because the
believe in like the
Constitution
original,
guarantees
but
us
so
equal
before
access
all
to
these
voting.
changes were implemented, right? Like the one you just brought up with the burning the flag, right? And then all the other like changes that were made within the past 50 to 100 years. I would like fundamentally disagree with pretty much all of them.
Okay, so you disagree with pretty much all the changes made in the last 100 years. So
That's what I said.
the 19th Amendment ratified and added to the Constitution in 1920. Do you agree with that one? The one that gave women the right to vote?
Okay, yeah, I know what you're trying to do, dude.
Do you agree with that? Or do you fundamentally disagree with that too?
Well, the 19th Amendment was women voting.
Yeah.
Do they really use it all that often, though?
Okay, so it sounds like you're now challenging the notion that women should be able to vote, right?
Well, I'm asking, do they really use it all that often?
Yeah, women vote.
But not as much as men do, right?
I'm not sure.
Well, I am. It's not. It's not even close.
Okay. Well, okay. So you're saying that men vote at higher rates compared to women. Older people vote
Yeah.
at higher rates than 25-year-olds. Should we take the right to vote away from all 25-year-olds?
No, not 25-year-olds.
Okay. So should we take the right to vote away from women, given that apparently men vote at higher rates compared to women?
Well, I don't think they're emotionally stable enough to make decisions on like voting in American politics.
Okay. Women aren't emotionally stable enough to make decisions on American
Well,
politics.
yeah, we see that with like abortion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess my question for you would be, if women aren't emotionally stable enough to make
Yeah.
decisions about American politics, then the adjudicated rapist, 34-count felon that boasts about serving on the naked bodies of little girls that just declared war in American cities by saying the real enemy is the enemy from within, is
That's not
definitely
declaring
not
war.
emotionally stable enough to make
Dude, it's
decisions
not
on
declaring
American
war.
politics.
It's
meaning that you
eliminating
actively
crime.
support, right, the impeachment of Donald Trump from the office of the president.
It's eliminating crime. It's
But
not
now,
declaring.
just to go back to the first part of that claim, because I'm going to make a parallel to your statement and how we
Okay.
could make it clear that Donald Trump is seriously not emotionally stable enough, therefore you shouldn't support him as president.
Yes, he is.
We're going to talk about the claim in of itself. So why do you think women are not emotionally stable, but men are?
Yeah, I mean, we see it with like abortion. So whenever they're faced with, an emotionally difficult task, they're super conflicted and they're not able to make the right decisions. Again, with abortion, for example, I'm like, they're the biggest advocates for, well, I don't know if we can talk about like the alphabet community and stuff like that, but they're the biggest advocates for those. So those
for
are like the two.
the
names.
alphabet community. So you're talking about
And abortion.
you're talking about the LGBTQ plus community, but you're just being like incredibly disrespectful about it. So you're
And
saying
abortion.
because many women, right, think that they should have access to abortion and that it's not wrong to
Yeah.
be gay, therefore they shouldn't have the right to vote. So I mean, I think women and girls should have access to abortion, and I don't think it's wrong to be gay. Does that mean that you don't think I should have the right to vote?
Why do you support abortion?
Well, I mean, I could happily tell you if you can answer my question, just making a parallel.
Well, if you do support abortion, then I don't believe that you're emotionally stable or like intellectually stable enough to be voting on American politics.
Okay, so you're basically saying if somebody disagrees with you, then they shouldn't have a right to vote. So that's
not what I
definitionally
said.
speaking fascism.
That's not what I said.
Yeah, it
You're
is.
straw manning my argument. You just straw
I'm
man.
not straw manning your argument. You
literally
just
just did
suggested, well, if somebody thinks that women should have access to abortion, then they shouldn't be able to vote. I mean, all that you're
Right.
saying is that if somebody disagrees with you, right, then they shouldn't be able to vote. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example, right? I actually think that the only intellectually sound way to, discuss something such as abortion, right, is to agree that women and girls should have access due to the fact that there's no identifiable characteristics that of a fetus that we would morally value sufficiently to grant it the right to life, thereby making it morally permissible for a woman or girl to kill the fetus growing within her uterus, right? However, you disagree with that. You think that they are sufficiently morally valuable. You're pro-life, and we could have a debate about that. But I'm not going to say just because you're pro-life, therefore you shouldn't have a right to vote. But what I am going to say is I'm going to advocate for like a higher level of education to be like accessible to you and others. So hopefully we could like generationally change the way in which we think about these things, so that eventually, when a majority of Americans do vote in the voting booths, they'll vote for policy and candidates to allow women and girls to access abortion by codifying federal law to protect it. But I want to respond to the first point, right? Just more conceptually speaking, you're saying that women are not emotionally stable, but men are. I have a question. Is violent crime logical or emotional?
Is violent crime logical or emotional?
Yeah.
It can be both.
Okay. How can violent crime be logical?
Yeah. So take it. So I'll give you a hypothetical, right?
I don't want a hypothetical. I just want an example.
Oh, Well, yeah, that's what I'm going to get to you. So, say you're in your house, right? And you see two people entering your home from downstairs, and then you have a pew pew that you can pull up. You don't know who these people are. They could be anybody, right? They could be family, friends, whatever. And then you pull out the pew pew and you take both of them out. I would say that's logical.
Okay, would that be a violent
The action
crime?
of taking someone's life is like violent, but I would still say it's logical.
Okay, well, the action of like logically or rationally or justifiably taking another person's life would be like defined as like self-defense inside of a courtroom, meaning that that's not a violent crime.
Well, I just said the action of taking someone's life to me is violent.
Okay,
So that would be an example.
but the action of taking somebody's life is not always a violent crime.
Okay, but it can be, right?
Right, and when it can be
So
a
then
violent
just
crime
use that.
is
Then.
when it's not
So
logical.
then we can just use that. So then we can just use that and say that it's logical.
Okay, well then give me an example of logically committing the violent crime of taking somebody's life in lack of self-defense.
Okay, sure. If you want to end a conflict and you know where the leader of a T organization is, and you take their life, they haven't like launched any big pews into the air yet, right? But you know that they might do that, and you have their location, and you end the life of that person.
Like
to prevent that from happening.
if a private citizen were to do this, like sure, that would be classified as like a violent crime, or like even right, like killing somebody right before like they grape an individual because they had suggested that they would. Okay, sure. So maybe like let me ask you this question: would you agree that like vast majority of violent crimes are not logical?
But my point is that they can be though. That's what I'm using. Is they can.
But like
it's like abortion. It's like elective abortion.
The very few situations where they can be right would account for like a small minority. Right, the vast majority of violent crime is incredibly illogical and emotional. Correct?
I would say there's a good chunk of it that is sure.
Okay, so a vast majority is emotional, not logical.
I would say 70-30 or 60-40.
60-40? Wait, so what is the 40% of violent crime that you think is logical?
Well, I mean, I just gave you one example. There's
Okay,
another
one example. This is what I'd say. Vast majority of all violent crime.
Well, I know
is
70-30 and
unreasonable
60-40 is majority. 60 is majority.
So you think that
20% is bad.
So you think that 40% of violent crime is reasonable and logical?
What percentage would you say?
I'd say like 99.1.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That's insane. Okay, say I give you a 10th grand on that. All right, go ahead with your argument.
Okay, so now that we've agreed that a vast majority of all violent crime, right, is unreasonable, illogical, and emotional, well, in accordance with your original statement, where you said women are vastly more illogical and emotional than men, well, if that were to be true, then explain to me why men commit 92% of all violent crimes inside of this country, including crimes that would not require disposition of a higher level of strength on average, like cyberbullying with threats of violence on the internet, arson, so on and so forth.
So with the arson, right? We have to look at the end goal of arson, right? How do you classify arson, real quick, just to clarify?
Dude, that was just an example. Why aren't you responding to what I said? I don't think
because the end.
I don't think that a definition of what arson is going to be required for you to answer to my question, considering the fact that prior to me asking this question, you conceded and agreed that a vast majority of all violent crime is unreasonable and emotional, right? So actually, I'll just go ahead and repeat the question without invoking any specific instance of violent crime. So because you agreed that a vast majority of all violent crime is unreasonable, illogical, and emotional, right? Then explain to me why men commit 92% of them if you think men are significantly more reasonable, logical, and less emotional than women.
Yeah, so I don't think one circumstance inherently defines whether someone is more logical or more emotional or not. So if it's the case that you commit one crime and you're charged one time, that doesn't mean you are inherently less logical or more violent or more emotional than someone else. So I think that's a bad point to use.
Okay, so you're saying that I can't use like the one empirical data point of the fact that men commit 92% of all violent crimes in arguing that men are going to be more predisposed towards thinking with emotions compared to women. Yet in your original argument, when you tried to justify that women are more emotional than men, you used the one data point of women supporting access to abortion to a higher level and extent than men. So it's funny because now you're a hypocrite. But guess what, sir? Right? I don't just have one empirical data point to suggest what I'm saying here is true. Not only are men disproportionately more likely to commit violent crimes when violent crimes are incredibly emotional, they're also disproportionately to self-unalive. 74% of self-unalivings are committed by men, when self-unaliving is an incredibly emotional and unreasonable response to external stimuli.
Are you trying to use self-unaliving against men?
They're also more likely to engage in hard DRUG and substance abuse, right, as an unhealthy coping mechanism to deal with and process emotions compared to women, when that is incredibly irrational and emotional. They're also more likely to drunk drive. They're more likely to recklessly drive. Meanwhile, women, on the other hand, are more likely to excel in academics, which are logical. Women, on the other hand, are more likely to accelerate in particular fields that have a disposition towards working well under stress, like working as a surgeon. A study was done by the Journal of the American Medical Association. They found that if you're operated on by a female surgeon compared to a male surgeon, you're less likely to die as a result of that surgery, and you're less likely to experience negative postoperative outcomes, right? So because of these empirical data points, alongside a handful of facts, such as the fact that women have a higher EQ score on average, when an EQ score denotes how rationally and maturely somebody can handle and deal with and process their emotions, and the biological fact that women have thicker dendrites, thicker spines in the context of their dendrites within their neuroanatomy, which was given to them by evolution to be better equipped in dealing with the stress and pain onset by childbirth, the fact becomes incredibly clear that your talking point that women are more emotional than men is nothing more than a big fat misogynistic lie peddled by shitty men such as yourself for the last 1,000 years.
Are you okay? Wait, so I mean, you brought up like 20 individual things, and that's just
because you said one wasn't enough. You said one wasn't enough, so I gave you 20.
That's begging the question. You didn't substantiate any of it. You said, well, according to empirics, this is true. But it's true to the opposite about like IQ, right? Men have.
Wait, I have a question. What question was I begging?
What?
What question was I begging? You just accused me of begging the question. What question?
Yeah, about pretty much every point. Like every.
Can you give me a specific example?
Yeah, like the IQ, right? Like you said.
Wait, I didn't bring up IQ.
You did.
No, I didn't. I brought up EQ. Maybe you just weren't listening close enough.
Oh, okay. Well, what's EQ to clarify? That'd
be like an emotional, it's emotional intelligence quota.
Okay, yeah, cool.
So I brought up EQ. So now give me an example of how I was begging the question. First, could you tell me what it even means to beg the question?
Yeah, reaching a conclusion without evidence.
No, that's actually not what it means to beg a question.
Oh, no, that actually is
holy
what
fucking
it means,
shit. No.
That is what it means.
Begging the question means they are attempting to reach a conclusion that is self-justifying. Like, for instance, an example of begging the question would be saying no, you didn't say reaching a conclusion that is self-justified. You said reaching a conclusion without evidence, okay? Not all circumstances of reaching a conclusion without evidence are begging the question. Like, for instance, if I say that I think that the earth is flat and then you ask me for my evidence and I say I don't have any, that is me reaching a conclusion without evidence, but that's not me begging the question because I'm not giving you a circular justification for the conclusion. As begging the question, specifically giving you a circular justification for the conclusion. So you do understand now how I wasn't begging the question and you just threw that out there because you didn't know how to respond to my facts?
Bro, you literally said it can be, but in this case that it isn't. And either way, you just admitted that you didn't offer any evidence at all. You showed evidence for nothing that you brought up.
Well, I didn't make an admission that I didn't offer any evidence. But I mean, if you want me to clarify for it, yeah, sure, I didn't offer any evidence because I just told you the facts. And if you want to ask for evidence for the facts, feel free. I already did bring up the evidence, like specifically for the Journal of the American Medical Association, how they concluded through a study done in over 1.4 million patients on the global stage in 6 of our continents that if you're operated on by female compared to a male, you're less likely to die. Now, if you want evidence for the other claims, just feel free to ask. Like, for instance, my first claim that men commit 92% of violent crimes, that's coming from FBI crime stats. And I could give you the other sources too. I mean, I definitely justify the points that I make, sir. Oh, yeah, by the way, you said that you'd never been up on the live before. What's your 11th video?
Bring up the EQ. My 11th video on what?
Yeah, your 11th video on TikTok. It's a screenshot of you being on the live. I thought that you said you've never been up here before.
Oh, that's not for me. That's for my friend who got up here.
It's your account.
Yeah, I know it. I screenshotted it off when he was on live.
Oh, somebody's at your door. Maybe that's your mom coming in to get mad at you for being such a misogynistic POS.
Yeah, no, it isn't. You're projecting now. You're pretending to be a liberal, and you know you're not even a liberal, dude.
I'm projecting. Wait, so you think that I'm the misogynistic one, even though you're the one peddling the bold-faced lie that women are more emotional than men? And then when you have somebody debunk the shit out of you, your response is just to say that I'm begging the question when you don't even know what begging the question means. Well, you've been on the live before, so I am going to go ahead and remove you here, just because a rule of the live is that you could only be on here once. Let's go to move on to the next guest.